Hi everyone, thank you for watching. My name is Tamara and I am doing a video on what it means to be clairaudient and how to know if that is one of your dominant psychic abilities. First of all, there's a lot of misconceptions about clairaudience. I think it's the most misunderstood ability. A lot of people think that you would hear external voices, people talking to you, or audible sounds, which isn't necessarily the case. There's a lot of inner mind sound, and a lot of people think that it's their imagination. So there's a lot of the population out there that doesn't realize that they actually have this gift because they think it is part of their mental chatter, everyday mental chatter, or part of their imagination, and they don't know how to determine, to distinguish what is wisdom coming through, communication coming through, and what is your own regular day-to-day mental chatter. How you know the difference is between, say, your imagination and your guides talking to you, is it will often sound very clear, and you'll, especially if it's advice driven, it will sound, it'll come with wisdom that is beyond you, or information. You'll get information from the sounds that are coming through mentally. It'll be beyond you, like information that you wouldn't otherwise have known. Pay attention to music that comes on. A lot of the times the guides, if they can't, if you can't hear your guides, a lot of the times your guides will speak through you with lyrics, music on the radio. Sometimes you will hear in your own inner voice. A lot of times the guides will speak to you in your own inner voice. They don't have, like, for instance, I'm a female. I won't hear a male voice in my head. Not normally. But I can know that it's my guides because the communication will all of a sudden change. I also notice when I start to speak the truth from what I'm being given or downloaded is it'll come in rapid fire because energy is instantaneous. And so I notice when I'm giving a reading and I'm hearing stuff coming through, it's like rapid fire. It's like immediate. And I notice the pace of my speech will pick up. So that's one way to know is you'll notice your inner voice will sound a little different from incoming messages. Just and that takes some training on your part, and I'll get to that in a minute. Signs that you are clairaudient dominant is music is often, or sounds are often too loud. A lot of clairaudient people have a hard time going to concert venues because of the crowds and the loud music. I know I do. A lot of the times I'm turning down my radio, or just you're very sensitive to noises. You'll also notice a lot of buzzing in your ears, or pops, or your ears will get hot, you know, this area will start to get hot. Ringing, you'll hear bells or chimes. That's ways that your angels and guides are talking to you. And that, and you can tell them to calm it down a bit, you know, especially if your ears are popping. It can be a little intense sometimes. So that's one way. When you're reading books, do you often tend to mentally hear the sounds, create the sounds in your mind as you're going along reading the book? And you might memorize the book according to those sounds. That's one way how you know you're a clairaudient. Or when you watch movies, do you tend to remember more the sounds and the soundtrack? When you remember people, do you tend to remember their voice? Very sensitive to how people talk to you and picking up nuances. And then there's the rare occurrences where you do hear the disembodied voices or sounds coming through externally. Those are rare. That's like 5%, 1% of people who are clairaudient will get that in their lifetime. I think I've gotten it twice where I've heard my name called. And when I've heard my name called, it's like a whisper. Like it's a gender neutral whisper both times. And my husband's had this experience once. And I explained it to him and he's like, yes, I've heard that. But it's like a gender neutral voice and it like calls out your name and it's a whisper. But then it's so loud that it fills the whole room and it like just gets your attention. And that's what it's supposed to do because that's normally your guides. Normally. Clairaudience, that gift has to correspond with your throat chakra. So that is the blue chakra. And it's the portal of communication, because the throat chakra will express the divine truth. And you can think of it as a triangle to a downward triangle, because here's 2 points of the triangle is your ears, all right? And then you get the transmission and it'll come through your mouth, from your throat, communication. And so anything with the throat chakra is going to have to do with the clairaudience because your nose and your ears and your throat are all connected to that system. So the affirmation with this ability would be, I have a right to speak my truth. I have a right to hear my truth. Okay, so you can say that as a mantra, as an affirmation, if you will. The stones that you're going to want to do the work for any strengthening this ability, or if you want to wear them on you, would be turquoise, aquamarine, Amazonite. Those enhance the communication and spiritual attunement. So that's going to enhance anything that comes through, any work that you do through meditation or like active listening. So lapis lazuli, I hope I'm saying these right, but lapis lazuli will aid in receiving ancient wisdom and truth. Though these blue stones will directly connect you to your spirit guides and your angels. So that's a very important stone if you're trying to receive information for a client or someone you're counseling. Sapphire will open lines of communication and increase clarity. Snowflake Obsidian will calm the mind of your inner chatter so that you can hear, the messages that need to come through rather than your daily chores and, nonsense. So, clairaudience, there'll be a purpose behind the messages that you receive. You're not going to have your guides really tell you about your dry cleaning, okay? So you're going to know that there's a strong principle difference between your mental chatter and what is important from the universe, first of all. Foods that you're going to want to eat is blueberries, blackberries, seaweed, plums, apples. Those have to correspond with the throat chakra. You're going to want to eat living, clean foods. You're going to want to drink clean, clear water. Keep your lymphatic system and your circulatory system flowing. Okay, the idea is to keep things in balance and flowing so that you're a good channel for this. Let's see here. Ways to improve is meditation, obviously. You're going to want to clear up the mental chatter and to, like I said, strengthen what the difference is between your mental thought and the inner truth that's coming through from your higher self and your guides and your angels. And so that you can access that collective conscious wisdom from the universe. You're going to want to have access to nature, walk and sit in nature and quiet yourself on a regular basis. A very important one is, do you listen to understand or do you listen to hear in your daily life? You need to practice listening to understand, okay? A lot of people just listen to respond. You need to start practicing that because that is going to transfer over into your spiritual work. You're going to want to listen to understand. You're also going to want to keep an open mind. Do you lie? Are you very reactive to when people say things to you, or do you try to keep an open mind and that stillness? Because this how you do that with what you do with your ears and your mouth is a big signifier on how you're going to hear and transmit from the spirit world. That's going to carry over. Okay, so try to keep an open mind. Don't be so reactive. Energy flows. You got to let energy flow. Okay, so and don't lie and don't use your mouth to hurt people. All right, because you're not going to get messages sent to you because you can't be a healthy mouthpiece. So that's important. Memorize sounds. Keep a sound bank. Everybody knows what a car sounds like going down the road, but really sit there and think about it in your mind. Hold that sound. You're going to want to think of yourself as a newborn rediscovering sounds, okay? And you're going to, the longer you hold that in your mind, the more it's going to come through stronger when you're reading for somebody or when you're trying to access information. It's going to come through clearer because you've practiced what that wavelength sounds in your internal your mind. So refamiliarize yourself with sound. Pay attention to lyrics. Remember lyrics. how you feel with music, memories that are associated with music. White noise is another important thing. Fans, AC units, hair dryers. A lot of the times spirits will speak through these things because of, one, their electronics, and they can use the energy from electronics to speak to you because it's harder for spirits to punch through straight silence. And so a lot of the times they tap into the energy from the electronics, but also like for radios and sound boxes, they'll use the words that are coming through to give you messages. You know, you'll hear music sometimes. You'll be blow drying your hair, you hear music, you'll hear sounds. And it's because it's a lot easier for them to tap in and to manipulate that than to create. It's exhaustive to use all the energy to create a whole new, I don't know how to explain it, but you get the idea. Like, it's harder to punch through straight silence. So give them an outlet to use, a source to use, if you want to hear your guides, or if you're wanting to connect with the spirit realm, you can use white noise. Another thing with imbalances that block, if you have thyroid issues, and if you're having sore throats, sinus infections, neck aches, you know, like I said, if your lymphatic system is not circulating properly, that could be a sign of like a physical sign of blockages. If you're not imbalanced, if you're not healthy at the time, that's going to muddle any messages that you get. It's going to be harder. So, okay, well, I hope this was informative. I hope maybe somebody out there is, you know, can say, you know, recognize this ability in themselves, or, you know, these are the tools to use to develop this ability. But just know that a lot of the times it does come through, these messages do come through your mental voice, okay? You're not going to hear a distinct personality in your head, if that makes sense. But you're going to know because it has a purpose behind it. There's going to be ancient wisdom behind it. You know, it's not going to be your everyday run-of-the-mill chatter. So I hope this has been informative, and I hope someone can use this, you know, to develop their abilities. Love and light your way. Please like my videos and subscribe and share. I love doing these for you guys, and yeah, love and peace your way. Thank you.